Hey, sixth graders. Today we are going to look at something called a check register. Now, a check register is a way to keep track of the balance that you currently have in your bank account. So yesterday when we were talking about the difference between a debit card and a credit card, many of you said, well, why wouldn't you just use your debit card for everything? Because you kind of realize some of the downsides to using a credit card. Well, we have to make sure we keep track of our balance, or when we go to swipe our debit card for something, we may not have enough money in there to pay for whatever we're buying for. So a check register is a good way of keeping track of not only your checks, but of any purchases that you make with your cards also, so that you can kind of see what your balance is in your bank account. So we're going to go through the first part of this worksheet so that I can explain what a check register is. Now, before I read the directions, we're going to look below at some of these things down here on this check register. It looks way more complicated than it actually is. And as we get going through this, you'll understand very quickly. So our first column over here is our check number. Now, this can either be the number of a check if we are keeping track of a check, or let's say we used our card. We can also abbreviate DC for debit card to show that that's what I used instead of a check. So that's kind of just like a little abbreviation or your check number. Our second column here is our date. So you'll see in the story that we're going to read up above, it's going to talk about a person, Raquel, I believe, and she makes all these transactions, and it always says what date she does it on because you want to keep track of that also. The next column here, transaction description, that's just your abbreviated, what did I do? Did I get coffee? Did I check for mom? Did I transfer to dad? Whatever you did, you're going to abbreviate it and put it right here. Now over here, this next part is important because it makes you pick if your action that you took, if it's something that you're paying and it's going to take money out of your account, or if it's a fee that's going to take money out of your account, or is it a deposit or something that's going to put money into your account. So these two are both negative. They subtract money from my account. And this one over here is positive because it adds. So you're not always going to fill out all three of these columns. You only would have one usually filled out. Then our last one, and the most important one, because it's telling us how much we have left in our account, is the balance. So that's kind of just like our running total. So you'll see with Raquel's story here, she's going to start out with $227.72. So the first column is your dollars and the second one is your cents. Now, we're going to start reading her story and kind of filling in some of these. So you're going to go ahead and fill them in with me. And we're not going to do the whole thing. I'll leave a little bit for you to do on your own. So if you think you know when I read one of these where it needs to go and what you need to fill out, feel free to work ahead of me, please. Okay, up above it says complete the balancing act individually. Read each transaction description below. Use the information to complete Raquel's check register for the month of February. Raquel's bank assesses an overdraft fee, meaning you took out too much money, for $30 for each transaction that results in a negative balance. Raquel is also charged an ATM fee of $2 if she uses a non-SBA ATM, meaning an ATM from not her bank. So those are some of the fees we have to watch out for also. So let's go ahead and we're going to read our number one here. So first, Raquel uses a debit card to purchase a formal gown at Francesca's Formal Fashions for $162.38 on February 2nd. So we're going to go through, starting in our check number column, and see what we can fill out. First off, it wasn't a check, but we said we can abbreviate with something else. So we're going to put debit card so that we know that we used our debit card. The date was February 2nd, so we have February 2nd or 2/2. What was it for? You could put Francesca's, you could put purchase gown, you can put whatever is going to abbreviate and remind you what it was used for or what you did. Purchase gown. Now, am I paying or am I receiving money? Well, if I bought a dress, I'm paying. So I'm going to have to fill out the payment here, which is $162.38. So I put my dollars in the first column, 162, my cents in the second column. This was not an ATM thing. I haven't done an overdraft because I have enough money to pay for this over here right now. So I'm not going to have any fees. I'm not gaining any money, so that's not going to be filled out. So now our last step here is we have to figure out what our balance is. So just like we watched our lining up our decimals video the other day, we have to do our math over here. So right now we have $227.72, and we paid $162.38. We're going to have to subtract what we paid so we know what we have left. So doing a little math here. Borrowing where we need to. So now, once we do our math, do our borrowing, all that good stuff, we have that she has $65.34 left. So our dollars over here, our cents over here. So now we know what our balance is. So now that we've gone and kept track of that, we can go ahead and cross that out, and we're moving on to the next one. Next, she has a paycheck in the amount of $152.25 deposited on February 5th. So this, in my little thing, I might put paycheck maybe. So paycheck. If that paycheck had a number, I might put that number on there, but it doesn't say. Our date is February 5th, so 2/5. Again, it's paycheck, so that we know it's like money that we're receiving, so that we put it in the right column when we go to do that. The amount. I shouldn't have any fees for that. Oh, woohoo. See, I catch myself. It's not a payment. This one is money that we're receiving, right? It's money that we get. It's a paycheck. So I actually don't need to fill out this column or this one. It's not a fee or money that I'm paying. It's money that I'm getting. So, 152.25. Now, my balance was $65.34. I've gained $152.25. So now I need to go over to the side, and I'm going to have to add these two together. So I can kind of keep a running total if I want over here. Like I'm just going to put this right under here. 152.25, and I'm adding that together. Remember, our decimal goes straight down. That was our rule that we reminded ourselves of in the video yesterday. Okay, so now my running total, or my balance, is $217.59. Okay, let's do a couple more here. So I've finished that one. We did our paycheck. Oh, good. We'll get a check done. Okay, so our next one, it says, now Raquel writes a check, and it's check number 104, for $50 to Mom for her cell phone payment on February 9th. So Mom must make her pay every month for her cell phone. So now we have a check. So I'm going to put the check number here where it says check number. So this time I actually get to fill it out with what it's supposed to be. So it's number 104. And that's on February 9th. And we'll put check for phone, or whatever abbreviation you want to. This part does not have to be exactly like mine. Okay, now let's think. Is this money we're getting or money we're paying? It's money that we're paying to Mom. So we are paying $50. I have enough money to pay for this in my account right now, so I shouldn't have any fees. And so we don't have any deposits, so we don't have to do that. So our last little step here is we need to subtract that $50 from our $217. So take out 50. Now you might be saying, well, what if my mom doesn't cash that check right now? Well, that's why we keep track of this, is so that let's say she waits a week to cash it, I don't forget that I wrote mom a check. I've already deducted it, so I'm ready for it to come out of my account, even if it hasn't come out yet. So you always put the check in right away when you write it, not when the person cashes it. Otherwise, you forget about checks and then you get into trouble with doing that. Okay, now my total is $167.59. Makes sense. I paid 50. That looks about right. So all that good stuff is going. Okay, let's do... I want to get to the part where I have a fee. Actually, that'll be at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here. We can keep working through it as a class, and we'll get to a point where we have some of those fees. So make sure you pay attention. If we use too much money that we have to pay for like an overdraft fee, or if we use that non-SBA ATM, we also get a fee. So we're going to keep working through this as a class. But as long as you guys have this beginning part, we're set and ready to roll. Thank you very much, 6th graders.